Why, hello, and welcome back to Divas, Diamonds, and Dollars podcast. We empower career women, business owners, and other light bloomers with the tools and strategies for living a bolder, fuller life. Each week, we talk business, leadership, and personal finance. Follow us to get ahead and succeed at a higher level. We are your hosts, Larisa Troche and
I am Cecilia Benford.
so, gentle persons, today's convo Black History 2026 100 Years of Excellence. So, we all have history and legacy, some more complicated than others. True that, as they say. Black history will always be American history. The rich history and achievements of Blacks that impact everyday living is so much more than we can begin to share. Some youngsters probably couldn't even tell you who the first Black president was. Dr. Carter Godwin Woodson had a dream when he planned just a week-long observation of Black history. Just a week, not asking for a lot. He and others founded the study of Negro life and history. Celebrating Black History Month is about the importance of commemorating our contributions and those who have transformed culture, sports, music, every facet of what has made America great.
So, with that as a backdrop, this year's Black History Month truly carries particular significance. I guess I would say who knew, or I didn't think some time ago that I wouldn't say what I'm going to be saying right now. And that is, we are living in a time where there are growing efforts to restrict or minimize African American history in public spaces. The call to preserve and share accurate, inclusive history is more important than ever. Black history is not separate from American history, just like Larissa introduced. It is essential to it. Honoring the full truth of our past ensures that future generations understand not only the struggles endured, but also the resilience, contributions, leadership, and faith that have shaped our nation.
So
So,
before you
yeah.
continue, I just wanted to say I wasn't watching, I saw, I think there was about to be an interview with the governor of Maryland, excuse me, not mayor. And one of the introductory scenes they showed was a statue of Harriet Tubman. And it's 2026. So what I said was, don't show them that because that'll be something else they're pulling down next. So, I mean, this whole erasure situation is very worrisome, when you have adult kids, and we're not going to have the generational conversation today, but where is their focus and where are their interests? I think there is a real possibility with this heavy-handed eraser that folks will not know the facts, right? Because they're going to be presented with, what is that word called? Not even a blurred history. It's just going to be a very rewritten history. So anyway,
Mhm.
I it's terrible to have to think that way, but I immediately had that thought when I saw that
I
statue. I'm
know.
like, well, don't tell them where it is. Anyway, sorry.
I saw it too. I'm sure we weren't the only ones that thought that.
Uh-huh.
So, moving right along, we're talking about a celebration because it is the 100th anniversary. So, each year, the organization that actually launched this observance announces a national theme. This year's theme is a century of Black history commemorations. So, we're focusing on commemorations because our history is actually much longer than 100 years in this country. So it looks back on 100 years since the first Negro History Week was established, which was 1926, and then it was later expanded into Black History Month. And so the credit goes to President Gerald Ford. So I think that in and of itself is important. He was the one that made the week-long observance into a month-long recognition 50 years ago. So he cited the message of courage and perseverance this brought. And I heard Louisa use this, and we say this often. True that, courage and perseverance. Then the United States, Canada, and Germany all celebrate Black History Month in February.
I did not
Well,
know
it
it was international. I thought it was only in the
yeah,
US. So,
yeah,
first thing one learned today.
yeah. And so not only that, the United Kingdom and Ireland and the Netherlands celebrate Black History Month, but they do that in October. So Larissa and I always talk about we are global citizens. And I went to an event today, and the doctor, the consultant said, we have always been international people. So that's not what we're talking about today, but just, it's just it is I thought it was an interesting statement. Well, why do we acknowledge Martin Luther King's birthday or even Juneteenth? It is a way to reflect on the past and continuing the work towards the elusive embodiment of equality and justice for all. And this event I went to today, and there were some principles that were put up, and it was a audience of very mixed audience, very well attended. And I heard someone say, "Well, who doesn't want that for everybody?" Okay, so you all may have heard if you didn't watch it, but you saw the commercials on the recent Grammy show. Now, this wasn't stated, well, if it was, I don't know because I didn't quite listen to all of it. But Quincy Jones is the most Grammy nominated artist in Grammy history. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, he is a Black man. And so we want to just commemorate some more notables because, like Larissa said earlier, I mean, we only, this is a little short snippet of things. So the current U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Jackson, who was the first Black woman to sit on the Supreme Court, has won a Grammy for her book. And I should have gotten the name of it. I don't remember, but um, anyway, I know it was upgraded or rewritten to, include young adults or put it on their level. And anyway, she's now going to be known for two honors. But I did say she was the first Black female. Thurgood Marshall was the first Black American appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court in August 30th, 1967. Well, how about Peace Prize winners? And so all these things are relevant today, but let's note how relevant they are. Nobel Peace Prize winner. The first one, these winners made significant contributions to global peace and social justice, but for them, and a lot of times others, often in the face of adversity. Ralph Bunche was a 1950 recipient, and he was a mediator of the Arab-Israeli conflict. That was, that's huge, huge. And today, obviously, we still have a lot of things connected with that. Um, Martin Luther King Jr., I think a lot of people do know this, or that he won a Nobel Peace Prize, but he was actually the youngest recipient when he received his in 1964 for the nonviolent struggle for civil rights. And then there were two other non-American notable recipients, but I just think since we're talking about Blacks or African Americans. Want to point out Desmond Tutu. He won in 1984 for his opposition to apartheid in South Africa, and Layman Jibawi, who was also a co-recipient in 2011 for her leadership in the women's peace movement in Liberia. This led to ending the Second Liberian Civil War. So we talk a lot about women on our podcast, and so it's really worth noting women in all walks of history and all the significant contributions that have been done, but that we all gain from. So let me take a pause there. What thoughts do you have about some people we should commemorate, Larisa?
Well, the thing of it is, in my view, is that, when I was in school, I think it felt like we only heard about the same people over and over. And part of that could be me, but definitely in my later years or more mature years, I'm learning so many more people who've made such a contribution, right? And so I guess, not I guess, I don't know where that word came from, but I get there it is again. So what I'm saying is
Mhm.
maybe one wants to be cautious about what we are spoon-fed and take the initiative to dive deeper because there's a lot more to the story and definitely want to dive deeper
Mhm.
because we're writing it on one end and then trying to erase it on the other end. And that's still, well, frankly, chaps my hide. But anyway, on a brighter note, let's talk about some Black American
Mhm.
generals. Now, having have having grown up in the military and having a strong, actually, I will say that I feel like that really created pretty solid foundation for me in my adult life. It carries forward. So I always pay a little bit more attention when I hear about those in the military. So, for example, General Benjamin Davis Jr. is the first Black American to attain the rank of general. Now, you, I know you don't know how huge that is, but let the record reflect that's a huge accomplishment, especially that he did so in 1940 during World War II. And our our leadership, at that time, people are just, what is that word? Well, things were harder in the early days of the military for people of color. So, again, huge. Brigadier General Hazel Johnson served in the U.S. Army from 1955 to 1983, giving her two firsts. She was the first African American female general, yes, ma'am, and the first Black chief of the United States Army Nurse Corps. And what is that, Cecilia? Oh, it was on Netflix and I did finally watch it, but it was a 1693.
The 6888 women.
Was it 688?
I thought,
There was a number in the title
yeah,
about women in the
6888.
military.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It
that
was
was an eye
saved the day
opener.
in World War II. Yes.
Um, but anyway, notable Black four-star generals are military legends. I already told you why, because why it resonates more with me. It's important to everybody, but it just resonates a little bit more with me with having grown up global nomad and then of course joining the military right out of high school kids. What was I doing?
Mhm.
And so that was my education in life was joining the military. So General Roscoe Robinson Jr. was a U.S. Army in 1982. General Colin Powell, thank God, but I feel like most of us know his name. First Black chairman of the
Mhm.
Joint Chiefs of Staff in 1989. General Charles Brown Jr., the first Black American to lead a branch of the U.S. Armed Forces when he became the Chief of Staff of the U.S. Air Force in 2020. Oh my gosh, now we've had the military, we just talked about 1940, so 80 years later. Tisk,
Mhm.
tisk, tisk, but he was there. And then General Michael Langley promoted to four-star general in 2022. He is the first Black four-star general in the Marine Corps. What these people must have endured, first of all, but
Mhm.
they stuck through it. They stuck to it, and achieved these great honors. But it was not a walk in the park, gentle persons, because even today, sometimes things are not wonderful. And when I was in the Air Force, okay, hold on a minute. I was okay. It was a long time ago. I just don't want to say how long ago it was, but it was a long time ago because, like I said, I joined right out of high school. And again, I didn't gain some of my awareness until my, excuse me, more seasoned adult years. So, but there were some interesting times. May I say that? So let's talk about today, if you will, our Winter Olympics, right? So history, frankly, is made every day. And Detour, if you will, is the Michael Jackson song Every Day Create Your History. You need to listen to that song and the words to that song. It is empowering and a good reminder. Okay? Michael Jackson history. So if you have been watching the Olympics, you can commemorate the Black athletes who are being captured as historical milestones. Erin Jackson, speed skater. I did not know we had those. I was a little bit surprised when I first saw her name. I'm like,
Oh,
what?
yeah, yeah. Me
What?
too.
Because they,
Yeah.
you know what they say about black folks, and so go girl.
Hmm.
So Erin Jackson, speed skater, was the first black woman to win an individual Winter Olympic gold medal in 2022, and therefore she was this year's flag bearer for the opening ceremony. Lily Edwards, oh my gosh, Lila Edwards, hold on, are you holding on? Wait for it. Is the first black female ice hockey player. Again, what? So
Yes.
I mean, we cannot forget there are others who elevate Team USA's winter sports. Many people, if you will, know about blacks in sports because, and our musical contributions to this nation and the world. But again, we're not just good at sports and music.
Hmm.
We have
Hmm.
other things going on. And first of all, the acknowledgement, the awareness, whatever word I'm trying to say. So awareness and the acknowledgement of the difference we have made for people everywhere. I will just say that to you right now. Well, what about stepping up in this time, in these very interesting times? Ooh, today's Black excellence is still questioned. And I don't know if still questioned is a word. I would say still challenged because why are people so het up about excellent Black folks? Why
Hmm.
can't you just
Hmm.
celebrate excellence in all its forms for
Right,
everyone?
right. Exactly.
So but on the other hand, will you just say, have you noticed that blacks, well, we're just going to keep showing up.
Hmm.
We are going to keep showing up. That is what must keep happening, frankly. Don't ever stop. Many Black award shows are about excellence and the celebration of possibility. And we do talk about possibility a fair amount of times on this channel because my favorite mantra is why not me? Why not you?
Right.
So whether it's the arts, elite athleticism, social justice, education, or representation from every walk of life, this history cannot be ignored or buried. Leaning into one's heritage enriches understanding, motivates others to communicate their stories, and reminds us we can embrace others when we engage each other. Gentle persons, gentle persons. Hey, that, not, I just want to point out cosmopolitan leadership. You have to have that global inclusive outlook. And, we have been, I was going to say in love, definitely impressed and engaged and honored or encouraged. But President Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, Oprah Winfrey, Kamala Harris, these are icons that roll easily off our tongues today. But again, I remind you, they are the most modern, the most visible in modern times, but they're not, many came before, and thank goodness many will come after. But be encouraged, be inspired by what these well known individuals have done. And I will have to say, across multiple color lines. I don't even know if that was the right word to use, but it's not just, it's our let me take ownership. It's our contribution to the excellence and the sense of possibility and how we move forward. So I will just invite you to build on the excellence they have, the excellent foundation that they have created for the rest of us. So I was stepping up. How are we stepping up, girl?
All right. Well, okay. So this is really Black History Light. And Learning something about Black history is great, but it's only great if you do some actions. All right. So many work on various levels to fight against funds being taken away. That goes along with the statues from cultural heritage sites, museums, parks, libraries. I mean, public places, people, learning centers, things that people look forward to going on vacation and taking their children to. I mean, how dare this be a thing? Um, you know, public TV, children learning centers, and just tearing down instructional institutions. I mean, truly, there's something wrong with that picture. So to step out, you got to support what builds up people and not tears them down, whether it's with money or time. So, whatever you can contribute in that way. Remembering truthfully is an act of justice, education, and hope. That's what the country we many of us thought we were founded on. The legislation that has gone forward to make things better for all people. And we educate ourselves, we educate our children, and it's always with hope for the future to make things better. Nobody wants to do anything different than that. Well, those people that I guess maybe Larisa, who align with what we're saying, because I guess there are people who don't feel that way. But, we don't think about them. So, what are the next steps? So, again, I'm going to go back to President Ford, who called on citizens to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans. What can you do? First and foremost, just be curious. A lot of things you hear, question, is that really true? A lot of things are just conspiracy theories. A lot of things are just throwing gasoline on the fire. Start your own archival storage or library for children or young adults. A lot of us have information. You can get with some other people and work towards that. How about learning about the gifts of the rich Black American heritage, the origins, and what impacts are left on society. From centuries ago to today, they're there still, including inventions that we still use every day. Again, this is supposed to be, not all inclusive, so I won't go into what those are. But choose where you support inclusion and not exclusion. Be the bridge. So I borrowed that from an organization that I went to something last year, and I remember a lady gave me her card, and I talked to her about it. But the organization is called Be the Bridge, and I understand that it's actually more than just here. So for more discussion about this podcast, there's an expanded version. If you check out my blog, we'll have the link uh, so that you can have access to it.
And just because we will put it in the description, but in the meantime, it's leadership coaching mentoring connections.com. That is the website, but we will include the link in the podcast description. But you heard it here first. And so, gentle persons, our Devalicious pro tip for today is advocate for truth and education where all have the opportunity of hope and justice. And I was going to say something inappropriate, so I guess it's too late now. So I will just leave you with our upcoming episode, which is, we are turning the page to a new month. Next month, March, is Women's History Month, first of all. And our first episode for the month will be just before International Women's Day. And what I'm building on is that, the reason I started Pink Passport Society was I really just wanted to uplift, empower, and support women And that is the reason for the podcast. That is the reason for my communities. That is the reason for all the things. Because I want to make sure that women have a choice, they have a future, and definitely have a sense of independence. So, as I said, next month is Women's History Month, and our next episode, in light of International Women's Day, power, passion, performance, and profit. We will see you next time, gentle persons. Cheers.